Hey YouTube, Kevin Clear with a knife video. Today I have a very popular small fixed blade. This is the CRKT Minimalist. Now it's designed to be a neck knife and it is very small and very lightweight. Of all of the knives that I've owned and tried that are marketed as neck knives, this is about the most realistic, okay? A lot of them, and I've told you this in the reviews, a lot of them I've tried around my neck and I'm like, yeah, there's no way. And I will say, if I buy a knife and if I have a knife that is marketed as a neck knife, I at least try, okay? So this is pretty well the only one that I've tried that actually realistically can be carried around the neck. Now I still don't love it, so for me this is not an EDC knife. That is, I don't put this around my neck every day when I get up in the morning. I do use it as sort of an alternate at those times and places which are fairly unique but do come along, where it's just not feasible for me to carry my regular folder or even a small fixed blade. I don't have, maybe I'm exercising and my shorts have no pockets. I've got a couple pairs like that. Maybe I'm getting ready for bed and I'm wearing pajama pants. Those kinds of things. By the way, if you hear some background noise, my son is playing in the other room, so just ignore it. But this knife works well in those kinds of situations. That's primarily how I've used it. I have, and I still do from time to time, throw it around my neck and carry it as sort of a second blade in addition to whatever folder or fixed blade. If I'm carrying something like the 0562, or I think I've got my Ferrux in my pocket right now. If I'm carrying something like this, I often do carry another knife, a smaller knife. And so I have thrown this around my neck a few times, but I'll tell you this, I don't love it. I don't like that around my neck all day, every day, okay? So overall, this is a good knife for what it's supposed to be, a neck knife, okay? I wouldn't recommend this as like your primary EDC, where you're gonna just carry this and nothing else all the time, but as a secondary blade where you're carrying something else and just wanna have an extra, or in those scenarios that I described earlier where it doesn't work, your typical carry method just isn't working, then this may be an option for you as well. All right, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's go into size and weight. And I said this is the most realistic neck knife that I've seen, and that's of course because of size and weight. So this knife is 5 1/4 inches overall with the sheath, okay? And if you take it out of the sheath, it comes in at just under 5 inches, like 4 5/16, or 15/16, sorry about that. The blade length on this is 2 inches and the handle is basically 3 inches. Both of those, so it's just under 2 inches, just under 3 inches, which is why you get just under 5 inches for a grand total, all right? Now the cool thing about this knife, one of the cool things is the weight is only 1.6 ounces, that's with the sheath. So 1.6 ounces is pretty impressive, and that's what I think primarily makes this one of the only knives that I've tried that I could say realistically you could carry this around your neck, okay? As I said before, I'm still not crazy about doing that, but it is possible. Now, let me give you a couple of quick comparisons to the two small fixed blades that I have that are pretty well my favorites. This is the Tops T-Bow. Very, very nice small fixed blade. And this could almost be your EDC knife. It's comfortable enough in hand and it's big enough. I prefer something bigger, so I don't carry this as a primary EDC, but you could probably do that. Anyway, that's how it compares to the Minimalist. You can see it's quite a bit bigger, and you can understand when you see these side by side, I think you can understand why you would not want this as your this as a neck knife. My other favorite is of course the Brose Blade Silent Soldier, and that's how they compare. The Silent Soldier is substantially more steel, okay, so that's why it's much heavier. Now, just for those of you who are primarily folder guys like me, this knife is 8 1/4 inches, so pretty typical size for a folding knife, and that's how the Minimalist compares to that. Okay, and this wouldn't be a bad pairing. This is more how I see this as being paired with some other larger blade, whether that be a folder or a fixed blade. Okay, So that's size and weight and some other comparisons so you kind of see where this lands. All right, why don't we zoom in a bit and we'll tell you about some of the more specific things on this knife. Let's come on in here. For some reason, sorry about that, guys. Just bear with me here for a second. It's only going in stops and starts. There we go. Okay, that's going to have to be close enough. So there's the knife closer up. Let's pull this out of the sheath so I can talk about the blade and a few other things. So there's the knife for you. The blade here, the actual cutting edge is pretty well 1 7/8, like just under 2 inches. As you can see, this is the Wharncliffe blade, and it does come in a few other blade styles. I really like Wharncliffes, and especially for me, this was sort of a backup utility knife, okay? And a Wharncliffe is a great blade shape for utility cutting tasks, you know, opening boxes, opening mail, you know, cutting a piece of rope here and there. Really, really handy blade shape for that kind of thing. So any knife that's intended to be a tool, I kind of like a Wharncliffe blade. All right, now the steel on this is one of the reasons I don't feel like this is a good, you know, primary EDC knife, where this is the only knife you're going to carry on your person from day to day. And the reason I don't think so is it's fairly soft, okay? The blade steel is 5CR, 15 MOV, and so that's softer than even the budget folders you're used to. If you've got, you know, a Rat 1 or a Tenacious or any number of CRKT folders that are in 8CR13 or 9CR14, those steels are a fair bit harder than this one. And so this is going to get dull faster than even most of the budget folders that are out there, all right? And so maybe you're used to whatever budget folder you've got, you're gonna find you'd have to sharpen this quite a bit more. Now, if you carry it the way I do, which is it's not my primary knife, most of my cutting tasks are done with the folder that's in my pocket, then it's fine because you're not using it hard and you're not using it a ton. But if you go cutting cardboard with this, and I have done that, it's going to get dull fairly quickly on you and need to be resharpened, okay? Now, outside of the blade steel, the actual cutting edge, the edge geometry here is very good. It's not super thick. The secondary bevel is at a good angle, so it's comfortable and does slice really, really well. You know, I've talked about before doing a little test with cutting fruit or cutting phone book paper or shaving hair, and all of those type of slicing tasks. This does perform pretty well. It's a hollow ground blade, and to my knowledge, I did check before making this video, and all of the different blade shapes that you can get in this, they are all hollow ground blades. I guess the Tanto, the secondary bevel the secondary grind is probably a flat grind, okay? But anyway, all of the minimalists that I'm aware of, they do have a hollow grind. And of course, as I've said many, many times, I prefer hollow grinds for my EDC blades. So the blade is very functional. It's just not in a steel that I would want to have as my primary EDC. Now, let's go on to the handle. The handle is sort of this green G10. I don't think they call it G10, but basically it's G10. It's like a fiber material mixed with a resin to make a hard, you know, scale. And it is quite comfortable. Now it's smooth, but it's quite grippy. Those deep choils here, you know, your fingers drop right in there, and so you do get a very, very positive grip on this knife. I wouldn't at all be concerned about dropping it. Now it's only a 3-finger grip. You can see there that my pinky just kind of hangs out there, and the lanyard does help with that, but not a whole lot. The jimping on mine, now I've heard both, okay, and so I guess it must be one of those things where it's a little bit of an inconsistency in manufacturing. I've heard guys say the jimping is not that great. I've heard guys say it's very good. On mine, it's a very positive grip, and you can see I'm not putting a ton of pressure on my thumb, and it grips right onto that jimping. It's actually pretty sharp jimping. Now, for other guys, that has not been the case, and I can't really explain that to you other than to say, you know, at this price point, you would probably expect a little inconsistency. And of course, the price point is very, very good on this, and I think I've made mention of that by way of introduction. Another point that I want to make here, I said I didn't feel like this was well suited to be your primary knife, and the other reason is that grip. Yes, it's a good grip. Yes, it's a comfortable grip, but because it's small and because it's only 3-finger, if you get to where you're doing a lot of cutting. Let's say you've got a bunch of cardboard to cut up. Let's say you're doing a carving task on a really hard piece of wood and it's going to take you some time to whittle away. The fatigue that you're going to experience in your hand is going to be considerably more with a handle like this over something like the Tops Tebow, where I can get all my fingers on and I can get a good positive grip on here with my whole hand. Okay, so again, I think this is a great knife for those incidental cutting tasks where oh, I have my other knife put down, or I'm wearing, I've just gone for a jog and I'm not planning on doing any cutting, but I want to bring this. Hey, great option for that, where it's going to be one or two little cuts here or there. You're not going to be, chopping down a tree with it or something like that. It's not designed to do that. That's not the purpose of a neck knife, generally speaking. Okay, so I think that gives you a general overall impressions of the actual knife and its features and its shape. Let's go ahead and talk a little about the sheath. The sheath on mine is very good. I haven't heard a lot of people say they had real wiggle, and there's nothing in this one. You can see that there's no sound. Okay, no sound if I do this either. So it's very, very solid retention. That's one thing that's really nice about this. If you're going to throw this around your neck and forget about it, you want to know that this knife is not going to slip out on you and drop throughout the day and you're going to lose it. And this sheath is very good for that. Now, what it's not so good for is, let's say you don't want to carry this around your neck. Now, I've got the lanyard on here, that's how I carry it. But let's say you go, hey, I kind of agree with Kevin, I don't like carrying a knife around my neck, but I'd like to carry this every day. Well, this is your option that comes with it. And so unless you're going to build something yourself, which is totally doable, you're going to have to screw this on here, okay? And I did try this for a little while, but I didn't like it because, see how this is closed? So if you want to take this off, you take your whole belt off, you unloop it, put your whole belt back on. And to me, that's really annoying. I'd prefer something where I could just clip it on, something more like this clip on the Silent Soldier. This is what I really like to see, especially on small fixed blades. And so if there was this option, if I get this for this knife, it would be just perfect. Now, I carry it around my neck anyway, so it really doesn't matter that much to me. But if you don't want to carry it around your neck, that's where it's maybe a little more limited. I guess it's small enough you could maybe put it in a pocket. But that's my only real complaint about the sheath, is that the way you attach it is either around your neck, or you have to put a belt attachment on that needs your belt to be looped through before you're putting it on, okay? Excuse me. Otherwise, though, the sheath holds a knife very well. It's really tight and it's very slim, and that's another thing that I think is worth looking for in a sheath. A nice thin sheath is important for a knife, especially one that you're going to put around your neck and you don't want this bulky thing hanging down, okay? So let me back out and give you sort of my overall impression. As I've said throughout, I think this is a great neck knife. And if you're thinking, my way of thinking of a neck knife is it's a knife that I put around my neck, and it's sort of a secondary blade that's there if I really need it. And I'm not going to do a lot of cutting with it. It's not my primary cutting tool for the day, but it's there if I need it. And hey, I think this knife works really, really well in that role. The other thing that's nice about this is the price point is very affordable, so that if you just want to try out a neck knife, or if you've never used a small fixed blade and you think, I don't know, maybe I'll like it, I want to try it, this is a great option, because for like 20 bucks you can try it, and if you don't like it, you can either gift it to someone, you can use it to build a small survival kit, there are lots of other options, and you're only out 20 bucks even if you really don't like it. So there you go, guys. That's my take on the CRKT Minimalist. It's popular for a reason, okay? It's a very nice neck knife, and of course, as I pointed out, one of the few that I feel like can really be carried around the neck without becoming a pain in the neck. So have a great day. I hope you enjoyed the video, and just let me know your thoughts on neck knives down below. Does anybody else wear them? Do you guys think I'm totally insane, or have other people felt like I felt, where I just can't, I'm not a big fan of having this thing around my neck all day, every day. Talk to you soon.